folks. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Bernice, your host of amerryspacewithnicee. Today, I'll touch base on a rather important topic most of us take seriously. It's called manners. The other day, I held the door to an entrance for an elderly woman who was walking very slowly across the parking lot. As she approached me, the woman said, "Aren't you polite to hold the door for me? You have such lovely manners." I smiled, said thank you, then we went our separate ways. In my view, polite and kind gestures are deeds we should do for each other every day. Granted, these thoughtful gestures seem to be a thing of the past. People have forgotten their niceties and are labeled as rude. Is it because our lives are so stressed and pressured, always on the go, rushing as though there is little time to spare for courtesy and civility, though they cost nothing? So, what's your take on manners today? Where are we in our society today when it comes to etiquette? Do you miss good manners? Today we seem to hear and see less of good manners, especially when we experience deliberate encounters. Since good manners seem to be fading, how do you figure out if a person has manners or not? What are some obvious signs we look for? Simple gestures like, "Excuse me," "I'm sorry," "please," and "thank you," which we should practice every day. I have seen situations, where people rarely say please or thank you when they should have. Then there are folks who will not part their lips to say anything. Instead, they just push through to get where they need to go or maybe want to go. Another example, imagine you're in a grocery store headed towards the cashier when someone approaches from the opposite direction, then cuts in front of you, suddenly just to get in line. Or someone bumps into you with their cart and don't even say sorry. Yes, I think that sucks. Most of us were taught the foundation of every relationship, and that consists of manners, just basic manners, whether it's an affiliation with a family member, a colleague, a friend, or just an acquaintance, because our behavior dictates whether it will be a good or bad relationship when the person is in our space. Really, what does it take to be polite and treat others with respect? Isn't that the way you want to be treated? Good manners and social skills should be taught at an early age because we want to become well-adjusted adults. This is why it's important to teach children good manners when they are young. It shows politeness, respect, and consideration of others. It teaches kindness, humbleness, and courtesy. As a child, I remember my parents emphasizing and teaching me good manners because manners play such an important role in every stage of our life, especially if we want to interact and live a productive and social life. When it comes to shaping a child's etiquette, do you think parents are doing enough of that today? Maybe, maybe not. Some parents may not reinforce manners enough at home, either because they feel guilty for not spending adequate time with their kids, because they're always working, doing multiple jobs, which keep them away from home. So, when they're around, they may let things like etiquette slide instead of making a conscious effort to teach or reprimand the kids about their manners. You remember that saying, "Spare the rod and spoil the child"? I guess that's so much for parental discipline today, which has become a highly debated issue in today's society. While all that etiquette stuff has changed or seems to be disappearing rapidly, common courtesy does not seem that important for some of us anymore. Courtesies and politeness are taken for granted. Even basic common gestures have fallen by the wayside. For example, notifying someone when you are running a few minutes late, or following up with a phone call, or sending a card to say thank you for the gift, lunch or dinner, something along those lines. Well, today I guess it's no big deal. If you don't reach out, you just move on to the next chapter. Also, keep in mind that we are judged every day on how we act, whether it's our body language, behavior, courtesy in speech, and all those things that reflect good manners. Let me ask this question. Have you experienced speaking with someone and you can't get a word in because the individual dominates the entire conversation, talks over you, cuts you off before you can complete your sentence, simply ignore what you're saying and don't even say sorry? Well, I don't believe that's good manners at all. I say it's rude and disrespectful behavior. My sense is that so much has changed over the years and is changing constantly when it comes to civility and having good manners. Say maybe like 40 or 50 years ago, you remember when people held politeness in high regards? People appear more relaxed with their courtesy today and don't seem to hold manners in such high regard. For instance, road courtesy and aggressive drivers, especially younger drivers behind the wheel, are a major concern for many of us. I'm not judging, it's just an observation. These self-serving drivers, as I call them, usually tailgate us, honk their horns, fail to signal when changing lanes, or will cut you off in a minute. They will do anything to reduce 5 minutes off their driving time. And guess what? Sometimes you're caught up with that same speeding driver at a traffic light. And then you say to yourself, all that speeding for nothing. And because of the digital age in which we all exist, many of us aren't practicing the basic social skills, especially when it comes to cell phone etiquette. Times have really changed when it comes to how we view manners in public spaces. Just to give you an idea, courtesies like talking loudly on cell phones in shared spaces, subways, buses, restaurants, business establishments, you name it. Some folks just don't care anymore. They're loud. They carry on personal conversations and may include a few curse words too, without thinking that others within earshot can hear what they are saying. Nobody wants to hear them rambling anyway, but I guess it's a new normal. Manners no longer matters. Speaking of politeness, would you say that COVID-19 pandemic changed the rules of civility? Maybe, maybe not. During the pandemic, we were forced to set boundaries, put distance between us, whether we liked it or not. We distanced ourselves the way we communicated and greeted each other. Instead of greeting each other with handshakes or the bear hugs, we greeted each other with fists and elbow bumps. Can you imagine meeting someone for the first time during the pandemic? How we made that person feel? No handshakes or hugs? Not to mention the masks worn for protection made it quite difficult to recognize a person's face, make eye contact, etc. And not to mention, the mask also made it difficult to follow conversations. Would you agree that those behaviors affected our manners then? I'd say somewhat. From the point of view of civility, good manners are more than just social favors. They are the basis of a successful and thriving society and the bridge that allows us to reflect our inner values and principles. The way we conduct ourselves in personal and professional settings speak volumes about our character. Although our society has become more mobile and fast-paced, be mindful that good manners are crucial in every aspect of our life and serves as the bond that holds us together. Today, many friendships, in my observation, have gone sour simply because of lack of good manners, and that's not good. If you can fix it, do so. Remember that reaching out and demonstrating good manners are not a sign of weakness, but a mark of strength, I believe. As we attempt to become better individuals, I would say, let us not underestimate the influence, courtesy, respect, and how they tend and how they also can impact the lives of those people around us. Let us be mindful of our words, actions, and that treating everyone with kindness and respect is important. You will also not only make them happy, in turn you will gain the same kind of respect and dignity you deserve. Well, let me just say so long for now. Thank you for listening to A Merry Space with Nisee. Until next time, be safe and healthy.